All right, team, stalled for long enough. Check YouTube. It says it's going live at this moment. Greetings. Hopefully everybody's not too fat from Cinco de Mayo. I'm a little bit bloated myself, but gonna get a workout in. I'm Trevor with Heroes Martial Arts. Like and subscribe if you like the workout or any of the BJJ that you see. I'm just gonna do all the same thing that I normally do in my classes. Inside kicks and forward kicks, just a little pre-warm up to everything, making sure the engine's running right. As high as I can one way, as high as I can the other. It's a little bit warm today, so once again, I'll put back more on later. Key, whatever you're gonna call it. Let's get you popping. I'm doing this. Once again, I'm gonna be very quarantine minded. Obviously, I'm by myself. I would love to have a partner. Maybe tomorrow we'll check. Put some more sweeps from that pressure pass that he does. Switch legs. Of course, I was blocking your breathing through your movement. Should be a given. All right, big old hooks. Alternating our arms, lift to the right. Practice soul blade. I'm going to be sweating pretty warm in the gym. Beautiful day outside. Let's do this one kind of as needed. Arms seem to be a little bit sore, so I'm going to swing them a little bit longer. There we go. Back on my heels, flip on my toes. A little balance drill. Where your head tends to go, body tends to go. Feet being about shoulder width apart. Optimal balance. Enjoy the symphony of cracking bones. Whoa. All right, still that feet shoulder width apart. Planted. Partial twist. I don't know about you, my back's been bugging me wholesale just on the couch, thanks to the video games, sitting in an awkward position. Big circle out of the head and neck to the chest, your shoulder, pull it backwards to the side. If it doesn't sound like broken glass. All right, I'm gonna go arms outstretched, small circles forward, slowly ascend to bigger and larger circles. Do the same thing, but backwards. Just gonna get some pre-stretches, big breath in, hip thrust, exhale out, touch the toes. Take a breath or two, walk it out to hands and feet. Exhale, dive one in. And lean back to child's pose. Flip over my back and get some streamer motions in. Kind of just as needed for right now. Just to warm my hips up a little bit more and my legs up. We'll start with inward circles. Remember, rotation to the hips, not the knees. Having some speed on this kind of helps. Outside. Inside. Outside. All right, I'll flip up to my knees. So I can stretch my quads. I'll be doing some squats and maybe some shooting and sprawling drills. I haven't quite decided how much I want to suffer yet. If you suffer, if you want to move through. Highly doubt anybody's moving through beat for beat, but it's cool if you're lower underneath, arm behind your head, pull the elbow, Check it out. Switch to the other one. Sometimes I forget about my arms when I stretch. All depends on how sore you are. Arm across chest. Check it out. Switch to the side. All right, I'm going to set that timer and get some workouts. Do my squat calf raises. Down, up on my toes for that whole minute. Here, breath in, exhale out, never hold your breath. Halfway through. Almost 10 minutes, a long time. I'm squatting, and that's it. I'm gonna go down for that parachute, up for down for the push-up, up for the parachute. Myself. And I can get going this time. Once again, in through your nose, exhale through your mouth. Halfway through. I'm really trying to get parachute. I'm not trying to be lazy, but I'm not flexible that way. Sorry. Almost done. Let me do it in the middle, deep breath version. About halfway through. Timer's just going to be on the background as a frame reference. Just going to get some stretches. And make sure body's in order before I start throwing it around. Once again, you're going to see lots of overlap, but you're mixing things together, maybe doing things slightly different. Mostly I'm going to be doing things for time right now. Just so you can see, repetition is key. Switch. Hopefully less talking, more repetition. Still got to sort of explain what I'm doing, even though I've explained it a lot before in the other videos, but I don't need you to be going so far and find a needle in a haystack sort of thing. Both legs forward. you should be breathing. You shouldn't be straining in such a way that you feel like you're hurting yourself. It's going to be beeping in the background. Open up. Kind of about the average. Did 3 stretches for like a minute. Makes sense. Kind of good to have a timer. It's a frame of reference in that regard, so I don't have to think too much. So for a couple more seconds. Butterfly. More seconds, butterfly stretch. Legs up the head. Alright, team, I'm going to kind of build this in subtle levels. I'm going to do some levels of duck walk on this before I go too crazy on myself. Like timer went, I'm just going to be on my knees, starting at the edge of this shot here. One leg up, switch, one leg up, switch, one leg up, switch. Oh, I got one more, 2 more. And spin around. There, you can do so. Let my feet get in there. Front knee popping right there. Yeah, come on, man. I'm doing this first. Every single time. Let's see if I can get that to pop. Nope. Alright, let's do that from standing. I'm probably just gonna be able to just do different angles just from here. I'm gonna go one leg forward, one leg back. It's gonna dictate how I'm gonna shoot. Alright, never down on both knees. One leg forward, one leg back, getting nice and low. Front knee drops down, other leg comes up. You can put your kind of hand on the ground if you want to support yourself. On the other leg here. Switch. Other side here. Forward and back. Same stuff with the left knee. Up to the other knee. Back and forth. Pop. Second to this. The next one. Hands in reach. Easy. You need a quick sip of water before this gets really difficult. For me, anyway. Alright, team, I'm going to do some sets of shooting and sprawling and combinations there. We'll just kill a little 10 seconds off that so we can survive. Shoot. Shoot. Hold. Shoot. 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 Halfway through. Shoot. Okay. Shoot. Shoot. Oh, almost done with it. Almost done. Oh. Oh. All right. Rest time for real. Yeah, with me, no one takes so long. All right, team. Get our best friend in the mix. That ain't gonna work. I have both my hands. Tight for one more. As I say, there's no Jiu Jitsu without attack. This guy's what we call dead weight. Alright, this is a good basis for everything. Sorry, I just saw somebody looking at the window. That's my problem. Alright, so I set the timer for 1 minute. I'm gonna be getting some arm bars going. So let's do the self-defense version of this. Arm trapped. I'm just gonna switch it up, reaching across here, going for the Gumby style, posting my hands so I can slide my knee, all in motion, stepping over. Maybe I'll do a couple sets of this. Just left, just cross, let go. Cross, cross, forward, down. Not so sure. We're doing repetition. Just cross, step. Cross, step. There you go. Always head forward, about backwards. You don't pull your corner on top of it. That timer's about to go off. So some of the half bar things got cut off from last week. I might add some of those back into this, but I'm going to do good old fashioned just knee cut from sort of a distance. And then I'm either going to go knee on belly arm bar or far side arm bar. Not really too complicated. So I'm here, I'm starting with one leg in, balancing on my dummy. I slide my knee down, pivoting on my knee, right? Depending on what I want to do, right? Pop up to the near side arm, right? I can step around, maybe long step, right? Or if you want to turn your dummy sideways when you do this, you can turn them sideways. And now it's kind of looking like a better situation for me to go knee on belly arm bar. Okay, so I was just describing that a little bit. I can kind of do bonus time on this too. We can go both sides on this. Pop myself up. Go to the other side if I want. Up. Always good to have something at the end result. Belly, right? They'll always turn. Long step, bulldozer, or action. Grab this towel real quick. Sweat a lot. All right, team, speaking of the long step, I'll flip this guy over. Piece part of the shot. So, gonna sprawl, long step to hip right. I'm gonna go and explain that for this for 40 seconds here. Bring myself down, hands down, push my weight, step to one side or the other, depending on which one you want to practice. Right now, because the camera's over here, I'll step. I still have my weight, elbow, knee, hip, foot. I have myself in a hip right position. Drop, step, elbow, knee, hip, foot. Get myself to the hip right. Just gonna give myself 10-second breather here. Jumping right back on in 2 seconds. All right, here we go. Step. Still saying the same words in my head. Step. 17. All right, team. Just need to catch my breath a little bit because I'm going to be explaining some stuff that maybe got cut off or got to talk about this all over again. Okay, so if you're watching my class last week, at some point or another, I was talking about how we can use our dummy to kind of work on some half guard positions here. Okay, so depending on how you like to pass, some people like to control the near side ear here, right? That's more like the cross face, right? Some people like to reach across far to the other side of the ear here. Both situations have their different counters, different things that you have to worry about, right? So let's just talk about the very basic of this again. This is, like I said, some overlap, but I'm not quite sure what completely got cut out. This probably got left in, but still always a good thing to talk about. So if you're trying to be heavy on your opponent's near side ear here, so you want to stay chest to chest. It's perfect that there's a center line here, that bisecting line here. I don't want my weight to go too far this direction. I'm going to get swept over here. And obviously, I don't want my opponent to turn here. This is how it's going to be better for them to recover their guard. So first thing, if my right leg is being trapped, I'm trying to put their left shoulder back down on the ground here. Okay. So generally, we're going chest to chest here. I would never want this leg stretched out here. This is usually a recipe for disaster. They're just going to be able to escape their bottom leg through. So I always advocate either driving your knee close to the hip, right? That's a good spot to be if you can. Drive it all the way up to your opponent's armpit here. And always be aware of your balance, right? I'm probably thinking more about my balance with my knee, depending on how long your leg is versus your opponent's space between their armpit and their hip. You might even be able to put your foot on their hip from there, kind of like a monkey mount sort of thing, right? And if you're into clasping your hands together, putting lots of pressure, that's a thing too. I'm just really, really small. So anytime I'm just like grabbing my hands together from this position, I feel pretty vulnerable. I like having my hands kind of open on this, also depending on what I'm going to be moving for at this point. Okay. So if I do have the underhook on this side, which I do, I would be trying to look for a couple of things. So you can hit the mount, the best passers will go to the mount on this, or you can switch to a good devastating knee cut. So let's just talk about the mount really quick. So in all scenarios with the half guard, I want my knee out. And obviously there's not really much of a half guard going on here with the dummy, but you kind of have to work with what you're getting, with what you have, right? With the materials that we have, with the situation that we have. And these are things that you consciously think about, right? Like it doesn't just happen one day where it's like, I know exactly what to do in jiu-jitsu. It's like you have to really kind of consciously think about it, even in those moments, right? Like some things become second nature, but I constantly have to be thinking about things like, okay, where's my balance? Where should I be, right? Sometimes, things fall into place the way they should be, but you should be kind of thinking a lot of the time. So chest to chest, got my arms together. I'm imagining I have the underhook, right? And my knee is already out. So the knee being out, it has the ability to go down on the ground on this side or down on the ground on the other, okay? So generally, if I'm smashing my left shoulder into my opponent here, making them look this direction, this is usually a good way to hit the mount position, right? So if you have your arm here, you want to be able to alleviate weight off your hips to be able to put more pressure on your shoulder to kind of pop up here, okay? And guys like Marcelo Garcia are really good at doing this, right? If they can get into the chin, this is really good too, right? Putting a lot of pressure, making them look the other direction. And you can use this other hook too, boom. And now I'm kind of in this, I've flopped over to the mount position. Can't really get my legs under because my dummy doesn't really react much, but we're just playing with what we can, right? So I'll put my leg back. So let's talk about switching to the knee cut. So I'm just going to switch my head. So I'm maybe putting this pressure. It's probably going to be hard for me to knee cut from here. So I'm going to switch my head to the other side, and shoulder too, more importantly. Okay. But depending on what kind of dummy you have, really I'm kind of just keeping my shoulder on near the face area, right? Right now it'll be kind of the neck. But a lot of times they're always looking. So generally I'll move past my opponent's chin. I like to say move past the target. Move your shoulder past their chin, so you can kind of make them look the way that they don't want to go. The net result there is you're putting your shin in their jaw, and that doesn't feel very good. Okay, so let's talk about that again. All while my knee's out here. My knee's out, right? When I choose, switch. Now I'm here. I'm not quite on my toes yet, but watch what I'm going to do. I'll post my weight on my shoulder so I can get up on my toes here. And already I have this little limb trapped in between my armpit here, right? That's totally second nature on that, right? So I'm going to switch my knee to the other side here. Okay, but I don't want to get too antsy about this. So I like to kind of visualize, this is sort of like a knee on belly position. My weight is on my knee, blocking my opponent's hip in this case, right? It isn't always your time to just knee cut. Most guys half guard is really tight, right? So it's going to be kind of a waste of energy to do all these things all in one motion. Really what I'm trying to do is make my opponent suffer from this position. So what I'm looking for, and he should be looking for too, is this little bit of daylight that occurs if I'm trying to get too antsy. It's going to be hard to see, but there's some, you can see some daylight on the camera there. So anytime there's daylight, it's good for my opponent, bad for me. I got to lock down that space. So I'll keep my knee tight here, okay? Till I replace it with my hip, and I feel like I can get my foot out. Furthermore, too, we're changing the angle of our hip, so our foot isn't going through that square peg through the wrong hole sort of thing. You got to turn your foot in such a way. Right now, my hips are oriented in such a way. When I turn my hips a certain way here, my foot switches to that proper peg going to the proper hole. I'm going to be able to swim through here, right? But I'm going to do this all from this deep position here. Here, nice and tight. You think about moving my arms, right? Yeah, obviously at some point I'm probably going to show this with a dummy, but with a human dummy. This already is a dummy. Pop up, switch my knee. I'm just thinking about getting this accurate shoulder pressure, however I can. This is usually kind of how I'm adjusting, right? Obviously, this arm might be in danger. If I feel like they're going to be trying to attack this, I'll definitely swim it out and get away from that position, right? But we're here, and I'm trying to stay tight here, right? I got my base on this side, base on this side. I'm pretty good. I definitely don't want them to take me over my shoulder here, but that's why I'm moving their head this direction here. I'm trying to misalign my opponent. When I feel everything's good, that's when I'll start to bring my head up and switch just to my good case of position here. I know that's a lot of explanation, but something we constantly have to think about. The battle, top and bottom in that position is very important, and it's constant, right? That depending on how good you are from either position, things can go right or equally wrong. Like I said, that swing, you're in the guard half the time. Top people are doing what they want to do. Bottom person, arguably doing what they want to do too, equally. So let's get back to that. If you can go both sides of that, all the power to you, right? I'm just going to demonstrate that a couple times and then show another little circuit that I like to do. This will probably end up being, like, once again, try to get the bulk of today's instruction in with the dummy. I know it is what it is. I mean, if you have somebody there that you can train with, all the power to you. Some of the details might be kind of lost, but I don't have all the exact details out in front of me. I'm trying to explain them as much as I can. Anyway, no more groveling. I'm gonna go good position here. I'm in my basic position here. I'm trying to drive my knee into my opponent's armpit. This is where I'm maybe thinking about going for my mount, but my knee's out, right? And I'm thinking about the next thing. Maybe my foot's caught, or I feel like I don't want to do that, right? I'm gonna switch my head to the other side here. Okay. Try to keep my shoulder about in line where that jaw line would be, right? As much as I possibly can, given our circumstances. Pop up. I feel pretty good. I'm putting my weight over their head, right? And now I'm gonna try to keep my balance from this point, right? If you feel like you have to post your hand here, I mean, this is probably because your balance is kind of bad. You should be relying on them more. You should feel pretty strong here, right? Walking or pinning their shoulders, trying to keep them flat. They're going to be doing what they can to try to keep their hips sideways, but you're trying to keep their hips sideways. So try here. Depending on what you want to do, the one thing that I like to drill a lot is either the long step, like I said again, or just going straight to your far side arm bar on this. And maybe do the other side on this, right? And also, you don't have to launch it necessarily from that point. I might be up in this position here where I'm passing in such a way where I'm kind of like trying to beat a shield or trying to beat a lasso or that sort of thing. I might be able to still fire this off from this position here. Okay, especially from this position, I kind of like to be able to do this both sides because I like to be able to make somebody pay from both sides with this CrossFit. So should be able to do this both sides, but I'm not being antsy. Trying to keep my knee tight. When I see and feel the time is right, I'm going to try to drive through. And the beauty of this too is that this arm's a little bit better for me. That and finish here. And I have a bearing on the legs as much as I can. And I have I'm gonna go side to side with this. Time that's good. Once again, just to make it a little bit easier for me, I'm gonna be driving from this top position here. Okay. So what I'm gonna be looking for from here is an over under. Under on the side that my leg is, over on the side that there's an arm here. Okay. Well, there should be arms on both sides, but there's more of a predominant arm here. So I'll go inside, outside, shoulder down. Then I'll just wait for a second, see what's going on, right? Feel how much he's suffering. You can hear their breathing. You can kind of hear their bone going against your collarbone, whatever the situation is. Feel myself in, right? Practicing the next thing. Kind of people will overreact. I didn't move the dummy on that. It just makes my life a little bit easier. Move myself up. Here we are. Right? And who knows? Maybe you got stuck in the half guard on this side. So you being able to practice both sides is you chaining passes that you need to do. And never stop passing. That's why we just have to drill. If you just have one pass, it's probably not going to work out. You got to figure out how to keep chaining them. If you look at some of the best passers, they're either going to always get their good first pass, right? But they're going to keep this chain of events going. They're going to be tumbling somebody down the hill. That's what I like to say. Like tumbling a ball down the hill. That's very, very hard to get pushed back up and add a certain momentum, obviously. And depending on weight versus speed versus time and distance or whatever that situation is, you're going to get crushed. Anyway, moving on from rudimentary physics, I suppose. Boom, knee cut. I didn't even wait. Just gonna step. There you go. Bring myself up. I'm gonna wait for a second. Bring myself in. Who knows? Maybe you wanted to get the near side arm. Okay. Let's get a quick sip of water. Talk about more half guard stuff. I know I need a haircut. It's killing me. All right, team. Gloss over the other couple ways that we can drill passing half guard or doing half guard top with the dummy. Obviously, it's pretty difficult depending on what kind of dummy you have to do anything bottom. That's why generally I'm doing a bunch of top stuff, and me being a little guy, drilling as many top things in top situations has been really important to me. You know, it was until recently that I'm able to use my jiu-jitsu to try to stay on top more as much as possible, kind of play to the percentages, right? But there was a long time where I rely on my guard, where I'm submitting people from my back. But generally these days I'm trying to stay on top, so I want to have as many different little pathways and situations where I'm going to be a step ahead on top, hopefully, as much as possible here. So let's say I'm going with somebody I don't want to expose the cross face or that arm to that person here. There's some people that have a wicked reverse arm lock and a bunch of other situations that I feel just scared exposing, or I just absolutely don't want them to be able to escape their leg. So the counter to that is I'm going to plop my hip down. Okay. So I know I showed this before, but I'm going to show it again. So I was up. See how my leg is up? So I want to get rid of this space. In their vision, if I was the person on bottom, I'd be looking for the space to be able to escape this leg here. Okay. I want to get rid of this. So instead of having the near side here, I mean, I could maybe still do the same thing with the cross face, but I've been a big fan of reaching across and then switching my hip. Okay. The big details on this is that my toes are going to stay connected to the ground. Very, very important. And my foot is like a spring for my hip. But if I did this sort of thing, I'm sweeping myself. See that? Already the dummy's kind of coming up on top of me. Here, he's not coming on top of me. The moment I do this, really, like, I'm not even pulling them on top of me. It's just the physics of I'm not holding myself up. The dummy's coming up on top of me pretty naturally. So from here, keep your dummy, whoever it is, shoulders on the mat. Always, always, always. I've got a post here. I've got a post here. I know where my balance is. It's very, very important to know where your balance is. There's only so many directions under the sun that you're going to get sweat. Generally, it's side to side for the beginning. Eventually, it's going to be over the shoulder and all kinds of other crazy directions. But this is the position that we're blocking. You can basically practice this on both sides if you want, right? Maybe you're thinking about passing a knee shield. Maybe I'm going to reach over right away, right? Plop my hip down. And in all cases, I'm trying to use this position as a means to get my knee up, right? If they have like lockdown and that sort of thing, so what we'll be doing inside of the legs there, I'm trying to circle my foot out in such a way that I can bring it up. So imagine that this leg is in between there, right? I'm circling it up. So I can put my foot, as much surface area of my foot on the ground. That's the same thing I'd be doing in here. Okay. So I have my post, I have the spring. I'm just showing the opposite angle on this, right? I'll go back over here. Here. Very good. I'd be thinking about reaching inside of my opponent's leg. And from here, I'm going to practice a big, exaggerated hook motion, right? As soon as I get my leg out, I'm going to make this big. It's almost like I went for mount, but there would normally be a leg there blocking that. So I'm going to go over and around and out here. Depending on what you like to do, I'm going to block my opponent's hip and solidify my side control, because that's always a good thing to do. Got my opponent in between my arms, so my arms aren't necessarily keeping my opponent in tight. It's my connection to the ground. If I want to get a head base from here, I would go ahead and do that. If we're really, really struggling, I end up popping the knee on belly and thinking about what the next situation is. Okay, so let's just practice this side to side a little bit here. I'm going to reach across, leg over, and out. Switching to the other side, reaching over, popping my hip down, right? Thinking about this would be inside, but the legs aren't really activated. Over and around. Switch myself over. How fast are you good at this? Pretty good. Switching side to side on this. Open. Over. Obviously, you can tell I'm a little bit better on one side on this. Generally, we're going to be better at passing the inside. Just if you have time and space, practice both sides. You never know what side half guard you're going to get caught on. It's generally kind of how you play your game too. Anyway, over. You want to practice getting to your mount on that. Great. And make connections. That's generally why I start with the arm bar if I'm showing dummy classes and that sort of thing. And I generally will still make people do it when before quarantine time, if they were like the odd person out or they didn't want to spar. Like, you're going to get a lot of time on this dummy, so you kind of, whether or not you like training on the dummy or not, you should get some time in on this thing when you guys come back, or if that's going to be a mandated thing. It's going to be very, very important for us to be able to move yourself. Okay, so I'm going to show a couple more motions, and I'm probably going to get a cool down from there. So every action has a reason. So all these situations were when I can kind of run my pace on my opponent. Okay. I generally wouldn't just go for the situation that I'm going to show, which is the long step from the half guard position. It's usually after a progression of mistakes on my part and good reactions on my opponent. So if my opponent is controlling my right leg here, and they somehow get their underhook back, so every time they somehow get their underhook back, right? I have a couple options here. Whether if I feel like I want to fight them from dogfight and let them get up, that's one thing, right? But if I feel the moment they get my shoulder or they get the underhook on the side that I screwed up on this, right? I'm gonna go shoulder in their face, right? And ideally too, this might have been during like a situation where I was trying to get my knee out, right? But if my knee's trapped, if I'm on a long step, the likelihood that I sweep myself is very high. But if I'm long stepping, I want to try to get my knee out, right? Try to get your knee out of the center line of your opponent's legs, okay? Just try to get your knee out as much as possible. They might still be controlling the foot, right? But the beauty of this is when I get my knee down, I can bring myself back up, right? Who knows, I might have been able to trap this arm. Who knows, I might have been able to get my underhook back and think about this next thing here, which is probably going for my knee cut. There's a lot of different ways to do it. I can show this on the opposite angle because I know there's a lot of weird things going on here. Here, right? Maybe during all of this, maybe everything was going good, but he got his underhook back from here. If he escapes his knee, right, escapes his legs, he's going to be getting my back, right? And granted, right now, if I was really good at my kesa, I can control, but if it was me doing this, I'd be wrapping up your leg and taking you over real fast. Okay. So see how I've messed up. Why did I mess up? My left leg is being trapped, and he has the left underhook, or the dummy has the left underhook. Ideally, I wanted to have my knee out, right? Either on this side or the other side. This is just based on a mistake. So as I go over here, I don't sweep myself. And I'm just imagining that I'm still keeping my leg here. The big detail on this is to go back over, is you gotta get your knee down to the ground. Very important. Knee down to the ground, and I might snatch this arm back up. Because usually, generally, when you long step, they want to turn towards you. So I'll go here. They'll get scared, right? And who knows, might have been able to establish my underhook and pass through this. Okay, just gonna do this a couple more times side to side. I'm gonna get a nice cool down on this. Sound effects, sound effects. Might have been here. I might have been thinking here, right? Thinking this is all good. Let me think I'm gonna mount. Uh-oh, messed up. Long step. Right, knee down, back over. Right, let it in all the way through, back to my knee pass. This side. I was thinking it's good for me. Who knows? In here, I've been thinking about all this stuff. I was here, he gets his underhook back. Uh-oh, this would have been bad, right? Unless I react in such a way, I don't show my back anymore. Come back over, right? Who knows what the situation is? Might have got my underhook again, smash their face, and get my belly up. Hey. All right, you're just gonna get a good old cool down. Big breath in, exhale out. Swing those arms. So arm behind the head. Switch that up. Switching that up. All right, arm across the chest. Open that up, switch it up. All right. Just gonna do a couple of stretches here. One leg forward, one leg back. Do some Granby rolls too. Reach over this way. And Granby roll. More fun when there's two of us. Roll. small high part of your shoulder. Roll again. Roll again. Roll again. All right, switch your leg over. Opposite arm across. Switching it up. All right. Sing a little send off. Hope everybody had a good, well, I was going to say 4th of July. No, I'm real ahead of myself. Hope everybody had a nice, safe Cinco de Mayo, even though I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that did not. Craziness going on. Anyways, appreciate you if you're watching this secondhand. Like and subscribe, team. Looking forward to seeing everybody real soon, but it is what it is. We're going to be sheltering in place for another month. You'll see at least another full month of these classes. Like I said, I really hope to have a partner in on this style of training here pretty soon. In the meantime, tomorrow we'll be seeing me and Gumby tomorrow doing fundamentals. Obviously, a lot of us have seen that many times before. If you're a hero, right? Like it's good to remember all that good stuff, especially now that some of us it might actually be really important for us to be teaching, right? Some of the higher belts being sheltered in place at home, teaching. Very, very important for you guys to be doing what you can to, just spread jiu-jitsu, even if it's just like 10 feet away, right? We got to do what we can. Anyway, team, appreciate you.